Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I have a review and comparison on the Ardell Stroke Brow versus the Glossier Brow Flick. Both of these have been in my arsenal for the last... The Glossier have been in my arsenal for the last week. I got the colour brown and I also picked up the blonde. And I have had the Ardell ones. I've used these on and off for a very long time. I've got the colour Taupe and the colour Dark Brown. The Dark Brown is too dark. There is a colour in between. I did look that up later in the video. Obviously I'm filming this after I've completed it, so I wasn't sure, but there are in fact 4 shades of those. The Glossier comes in 3. There is a blonde, brown and a black. Whereas with the Ardell you get 4 different shades. Let's get into the video. I'm going to show you how I use them. I'm going to do a little bit of a kind of colour comparison and pen comparison and kind of showing you the kind of stroke effect that you can get with them. So let's get into the video review and tutorial. But let's first show you the nibs on both. I'm just going to use the blonde for comparison because that's kind of the easiest thing. So this is the Glossier and it is a fine pen nib. I'm just going to do some, you can see it's quite light. I store these upside down, that is the best way to do it. And then we have the Taupe from Ardell. I find the colours very similar. I feel like the Ardell one gives me more colour a little bit easier. I don't know whether it's because this one I just taken out of my makeup bag, so it hasn't been upside down for very long. That might be why, but they give a similar finish. You can see it's hair strokes. Let me just... They are kind of smudge proof, waterproof. Just gone in again so you can see a little bit of a better comparison. This is the Glossier one, now that it's been upside down a little bit longer, that's easier. And this is the Ardell. I actually think I prefer the Ardell for a kind of lighter. I just feel like it's got a little bit more of an ashier hue. This is a little bit warmer. So if you are a true blonde, or you've got a little bit of a warm blonde, or maybe you're kind of that Albany colour, that might be a good one to try. But I prefer the Glossier colour of the brown. So I'm going to brush up my brows so you can see, and it's all about the angle of the wrist. I'm probably going to like mess this up and they won't be perfect because trying to do this on camera is quite tricky. But I'm going to first go in and fill in the kind of, what you want to do is kind of flick up, so you're looking to get these kind of hair strokes. I hope you can see that. You can then just take your brush and just kind of brush them up. When you're doing this, like, always follow the way of your hairs, so the direction of the hair, sorry. So my hairs at the front go up. All of these grow this way. When I start to come down here, you'll notice what I'm going to do is brush these down because my hair grows this way, and then when you start to come back into sort of this area, they're going to crisscross over because my hairs grow that way. Follow the natural direction of your hair to get the shape that you want in those tiny little hair strokes. That's going to look the most natural. Now I'm going to go in with the Glossier Brown colour. As I said, I don't have a colour that I'm happy with right now from the Ardell ones, but I do really prefer that Taupe colour. These basically work the exact same. And I'm just going to start creating little hair strokes in the same direction that my hairs go. I'm going to place some through this part of the brow as well, so we just don't get some darker colour towards the edge. And then what I'm going to do is brush this down ever so slightly, and I'm going to go from here where there's Gary. Ignore Gary, he's being a pain in the arse today. all about the flick of the wrist. So, and then we brush up, see what we're looking at. And that, my friends, is how I use these pens. Now you can see it looks like hairs. You're going to get gaps. You can fill this whole thing in, but what that's going to do is obviously make it look like they're not real hairs. The more colour and stuff you put in here, if you're using powders, pomades, all of that kind of thing, the more you kind of do this blocky thing, the more it's just going to look less like your actual hair. I really like these because they are pretty transfer proof. You can see the difference between my two brows. I have a lot of brow hair towards this front portion, and then I have a fair bit towards the end as well. I always brush my brows up to fill them in, and then just kind of do that with my, but you can see I've got gaps here. It's this kind of bit that I always need the help in. So if we just compare the two, that's my natural brow. It's not a bad shape to start with if you know where to fill it in, and as I said, it's quite full towards the front. So all I do on this brow is kind of fill in that little gap at the front with a lighter colour, and you can see it was a similar shape on this side. And yet now looks like brow hair. Now what I will also say is that it's really important to use something that's a little bit lighter but the same tone in this front area. If you go really heavy in here, it's going to look really blocky. It's going to bring your eyes closer together. It's going to make your nose look wider, kind of where you place your brow, and the harshness or lack of in this front part really does kind of help to shape the face as well. It's not just the shape of the brow, it's kind of how dark and how heavy you come in on this inner portion is really important. I always do a little bit darker towards the outer edge, because that is where I need the most help, and also the kind of, you know, most people's faces can take it. So that is how I would use it. I would then follow up with a brow gel. My personal favourite at the moment, and this is something that I will repurchase over and over because I like the fact that it's a fibre one. This is the Archery Volume Boost Brow Fibre Gel from Soap & Glory. It's cruelty free. The Benefit do a brilliant clear one, but they're not cruelty free, so I've stopped using it. I'm just not prepared to do it. I used it up and then I didn't repurchase. So I kind of start middle to end. I have wiped off a little bit of the product as well. And then I just brush the brows up so that what your eye sees is mostly my actual hair. And my actual hair then goes over those bits that we filled in to make it look mostly like my hair. And then I take whatever's left and I just brush through the front and fluff that up a little bit. And that is how you get a really nice, natural looking, great looking in person full brow. Oh yeah, right, I'm just going to do this one. I'm going to talk you through again. I'm going to try and use the blonde colour from Glossier. I still prefer the Taupe, as I said. Definitely prefer the Ardell for my blonde colour. So again, really light pressure, hair light strokes. It's much more, you're going to have more of a hard time trying one side. I mean, it's always, I mean, I find that anyway with my eyebrows, I've got one side that I do much better than the other. I'm just going to show you the comparison here. Oh my god, the tiny little bird literally just hovered outside my window. How cute. This is the Ardell Stroke Brow. and this is the Glossier Brow Flick in brown. So this is dark brown from Ardell and this is brown from Glossier. I would say this is a teeny bit lighter, and I would say the Ardell has a tiny bit more red in it. When I've used this on my brows at the edges, it looks a little too dark. The Glossier one is a better colour. I'm pretty sure that Ardell do a medium brown colour or something that's in between that dark brown and that taupe, but I just don't have it. So I'm going to use the Glossier again. And this is the eyebrow that doesn't look like the other one for me. It's the one that I struggle with. So again, I always find doing a lot of brushing in these instances is the key. But you can see the kind of shape that we're going for. I've just got to bring it up a little bit here. But as I said, my hairs on this part go down. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down first a little bit. Let's have a look. So still looking a little bit sparse. Right, so the comparison. I am going to order the Ardell in the medium brown. I just want to do the price comparison for you. So if you are getting the Glossier one, the Glossier one is available in 3 shades. You have a brown, a blonde and a black. I have both the blonde and the black. And that retails for I believe £15 according to the website. And if you're looking at the Ardell one, obviously that one, especially for the UK, you can only get it on the Glossier website. I don't know if there are any other stockists, but certainly here in the UK you can find some on eBay, but obviously they're going to hike the prices up, and I would always be a little bit wary of buying makeup off of eBay. These are £15 from the website. The Ardell is available on Amazon and Beauty Bay, and they have 4 shades. It retails for £9. As you can see, I've got 2 here. I also have a couple of backups of the taupe. I really like it. I also know that Harry from Harry Makes It Up uses this. I've used this for a long time, but I don't think I've ever talked about it on my channel, just because it is one of those tricky things to use when I'm filming. The Ardell comes in 4 colours. It comes in the taupe, which I would highly recommend for blondes or a kind of lighter brow. That it comes in a medium brown, so there's definitely a colour in between that dark brown, because the dark brown is a little bit too dark for my brows, I feel. A dark brown and then a soft black. So I would recommend, if you are similar colouring to me or a little bit lighter, that you try the taupe or the medium brown. I have had the medium brown before, but for some reason, like everywhere I've looked so far is kind of out of stock on the medium brown. That's my favourite. I have a couple of backups of the dark brown as well, because I do use it on other people. And I would say they are very similar. The Glossier one, especially if you're in the UK, is much harder to get hold of, and it's also much more expensive. Also, if you're in the UK, you're going to have to pay shipping probably, which is a little bit annoying, although I believe that it's probably over like £30 or something that you don't have to pay shipping, so you've got to spend a certain amount of money, as is standard if free shipping is not a thing for most kind of big websites. The tips of them are very similar. They've both got this kind of stiff-ish brush felt tip that gives you those really kind of hair-light strokes. Even when you get up close to me, as you saw earlier, it looks like hair. Both of these have a very similar tip to them. As you can see, they both have this very thin, feathery, fairly stiff pen. And it is kind of made of brush hairs. I would say, if anything, the Glossier one is slightly more stiff. than the Ardell one. I know that everyone is going crazy for these at the moment, and obviously I jumped on the bandwagon and bought a couple as well. But they are absolutely amazing. But if you can't afford the Glossier one, absolutely go and check out the Ardell. I probably will not be repurchasing the Glossier ones purely because I wanted to see whether they were as good as, if not better than, my Ardell ones. My Ardell ones, you've got one extra colour in there, so you're more likely to find your shade, especially handy if you work on other people as well. And also they're much cheaper. Why would you not? So I really hope you enjoyed my review and comparison of the Glossier Brow Flick versus the Ardell Stroke Brow. As I said, I personally would pick the Ardell over the Glossier just on the points of it's less expensive and there's more of a shade range. They basically do the exact same things. They are, however, both brilliant products. I'd say they were very, very comparable. The only thing that's different to me is the fact that the Glossier one has a very, very slightly more stiffer kind of brush. Other than that, you get the exact same effects with them. They both look wonderful in the brows. I use both currently in my brows. I always use the brown colour in the ends of my brows, as you saw earlier, and I always use the Taupe from Ardell in the front of my brows. This is a daily occurrence for me. I really enjoy them both, but I would say if you're on a budget, definitely check out the Ardell one. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you got some hints and tips on how to use the products as well. It is very tricky. This eyebrow today still looks great, but you can kind of see where it didn't go as well as this one. There is a little bit of a knack to it, and it is going to take you a little bit of a practice. I wouldn't say that if you've got a lot to fill in that it's a particularly fast brow, but you can see it took me a couple of minutes on this brow. It took me the same on the other. Once you get the hang of it, it can be really quick, particularly if you've got lots of brow hair already. It's going to be very fast. Even if you haven't got the hang of it, your brow hair will kind of cover your mistakes, as it were. And if you've got a lot of brow hair to create, although it will take you a little bit longer, it's definitely worth trying to get that technique down, because it really does look like actual hair rather than trying to kind of fill in and get that more blockier brow if you need a lot of work in yours. So highly recommend both of them. As I said, Ardell one is my pick just because it's slightly cheaper and there's more of a colour range. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do give this video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you're not part of the Janes family, and I will see you in the next video. Lots of love. Bye!